We have a quorum?
Yes.
We do. Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you all for coming. Glad everybody could make it. I'm going to have Commissioner Anderson lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. Thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Chair Judge,
Here.
Vice Chair McQueen-Lejeune. Here. Commissioner Anderson. Here. Commissioner Brogy. Commissioner Crosswhite. She's here. Commissioner Enegren. Commissioner Engler. Commissioner Gorel. Commissioner Halter. Commissioner Lang. Here. Commissioner Levere. Commissioner Long. Commissioner Lopez. Commissioner MacArthur. Commissioner Parvin. Commissioner Tremblay. Commissioner White. Commissioner Roberts. Here.
Thank you. We have one public comment. Excuse me, Danielle Noble.
Good morning, everyone. Lower this a little bit. Thank you for allowing me a couple of minutes to speak. I'm Danielle Noble, and I'm a senior associate with California Consulting, the state's largest grant writing company. I live here in Ventura County, and I'm a former city staff member with the city of Santa Monica, where I served as deputy city manager and in other leadership roles. California Consulting has been in existence for over 20 years, and our grant writers have written more than 1,600 grant applications that have been successfully funded. We have generated more than $1.6 billion for our clients, and we write for every major federal and state grant application, including the U.S. Department of Transportation, Caltrans, HUD, HCD, FEMA, DOJ, CAL FIRE, and many others. We also offer post-award compliance and grant writing services and grant reporting once a grant is awarded. Here in Ventura County, we are proud to provide grant writing services for the cities of Ojai and Fillmore. And across the state, we have contracts with more than 130 public agencies, including cities, special districts, school districts, community colleges, and others. So I just wanted to come today and introduce myself and make sure that you're aware of our firm. I've left some flyers on the table by the door if you'd like more information. There's also a phone number you can call to reach our office and speak with someone on our team. So thank you for allowing me this opportunity to introduce myself and our firm, and appreciate your time.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Okay. All right, moving on to item 5, Caltrans report. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Chair Judge, Commissioners, and Director Erickson. Have a couple of informational items, if we can bring up my slides. But first, I just want to say this is my first meeting of 2025, so it's really great to be back and to meet with all of you in person. Do want to congratulate also the new commissioners, Commissioner Anderson, Commissioner Lang. Welcome to the board, and thank you for your interest and support of transportation. And so in addition to our monthly written report on our project status and grant opportunities, we do have a presentation, just a slide, of some of our contact information, just for the new commissioners, but also as a refresher for all of you, that we do, our main job is in terms of operating and maintaining the state highways. So I just want to provide some contact information. As you see, items of interest where we have needs of excess litter and debris that needs to be picked up, or broken guardrails, stop lights that aren't working. These are our contacts for you to just connect with us and let us know. We do appreciate you and your citizens being kind of our eyes and ears to help us maintain our state highway system. So this is where you can find the information. You can also direct your staff and your constituents to use the customer service request. So that is the link that they can submit anything of interest that they want some Caltrans attention. And so this slide will be sent to you after the meeting. Roxana will be sending it to all of you so that you can pass it on to your staff as needed. And so next slide, please. And so this is just a location of where we have maintenance stations throughout Ventura County. So that way you can get a sense of the response time as it relates to where you've submitted a customer service request. And then next slide. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, we do appreciate the constant close partnership and collaboration that we share with the director, Martin and his staff and all of the commissioners. And as shared in our prior meeting, our Caltrans mission of improving lives and communities through transportation is aligned with VCTC's priorities. And so just this week, our parent agency, CalSTA, California State Transportation Agency, released CAPTI 2.0, and that's the Climate Action Plan for Transportation Investments. And so what this does is basically outline the framework for how we are going to be evaluating projects and committing state transportation funding. And so this, the new CAPTI strategies, the link is provided also that you can have your teams take a look because it is through CAPTI where SB1 programs such as the Trade Corridor Enhancement Program and the Solutions for Congested Corridor programs such as the state grant programs that provide transportation funding. The CAPTA provides a framework as to how we evaluate how we're going to award projects. And so, for example, TCEP, just 2 weeks ago, I had the honor of attending the City of Oxnard's Rice Avenue Grade Separation Project. And so that was actually a project that finally broke ground. It received TCEP funding in 2018. And so it does show that the state is committed to providing transportation improvements, and it's a long-term kind of commitment among state agencies and local agencies and the county agencies that can really work to kind of maximize the state funding opportunities. So just make sure that you kind of take a look at CAPTI because this basically provides you with how the evaluation process is going to go. Right now, we are just received the nominations for the TCEP Cycle 4, and then we're working on releasing the program guidelines for TCEP Cycle 5. So in terms of the state funding, our projects are continuing with our shop and also with the state funding programs that are distributed to the locals. So we are continuing with all of the investments that we have. And continue working with VCTC to fund highway investments. So lastly, I just do want to introduce to you Mike Keever. He is my boss and the Chief Deputy Director of Caltrans. He's kind of doing like a tour of all of the Caltrans districts, and so District 7 being the best and most important district, he started with us. So I'm gonna turn the floor over to him and have him say a few words, and this is also your opportunity if you want to ask him of any questions that you have that he can speak from a perspective from Sacramento. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I hear that from all the district directors, so my pleasure to be here. So I work in Sacramento for the most part in the director's office, but we collaborate a lot, but wanted to, and we get out to the districts on a regular basis, but what I'm doing right now is taking the position and making it mobile, so moving it around the state. And so part of the time I'll be in Sacramento, part of the time in our districts, in order to make sure that those of us that are, as we're working together, have a real feel for the issues that the people that we're serving. So I just want to thank all of you that are on this board for what you do with that representation. And as Gloria said, whether it's with the CSRs or other issues, how do our citizens connect with us? How do we serve them and solve with them? And there are multiple channels in which we do that. And certainly their elected representatives or the representatives on this board are a huge part of how we're able to engage and find the right way that we're able to make the investments. Just at a high level, Gloria talked about our funding right now, and there's certainly a lot of change going on at the federal level. I've been getting a lot of questions about that, and while we're still, things are still settling out, I want to reassure everybody that, all of our formula funds, they continue to, although I think they were paused for a few hours one day when there was some of the turmoil and the change going on, but we continue to receive the federal funds that we're expecting, and we're able to continue to move these investments forward and our projects forward. We'll see how things going forward with some of the competitive grants. So typical of any change of administration, the new administration is going to take a look at those, and they'll put their fingerprints on where these go. But California has done very well on the discretionary competitive grants, as well as the formula funds, and certainly as well with the SB1 funds. And so we'll continue to be making investments. And as Gloria said, with CAPTI, that's sort of our lens that we use to try to say what types of investments do we want to make around the state. Part of the reason for me being here, there is no one solution that fits everywhere. It has to be very context, community based. And so this again is where working within the district context with all of the boards like this, and then directly with the citizens as well, as we seek to enhance our engagement to try to be true representatives of the people that we're here to serve. So thank you for allowing me to join you today.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to commissioners' reports. Any commissioners have any kind of report to give? Seeing none, move right into the executive director report.
Thank you, Chair Judge, Vice Chair McQueen-Lejeune. As I was thinking this morning about today's meeting, Chief Deputy Director Heaver answered some of the questions I thought may come up today about where we are in this somewhat tumultuous time with the federal funding. So again, thank you for being here, and your presence here is just a reminder of the great partnership we have with District 7, but also with Caltrans in general. I have a brief executive director's report. I first wanted to note that we have our hot off the presses, our annual community impact report for 2025, which you have in front of you. You may recall last year we did our first one of these last March. We have some extra copies in the front here on the table for the public also. But I want to acknowledge Darren Peshka of my team and Celtis Ventures and all of my staff for helping put this together. I think it's turned into a nice overview of what VCTC does in a simple, and hopefully a simple and readable way, and underscores some of the key things that we do as an agency, things that we do to help the public, serve the public in all of Ventura County, in all 10 cities in the county, and in our larger area. And as I noted in last month's meeting, the theme of partnerships is really our theme for this year. And I wanted to just read, because I'm kind of a quote person, the quote I put in here from John F. Kennedy on his observation on partnerships. He said, "Partnership is not a posture, but a process, a continuous process that grows stronger each year as we devote ourselves to common tasks. And I've been reflecting on that recently because I think many times in our world, you see partnerships, but they do look more like a posture sometimes because they don't tend to either last very long or be very effective. And I think VCTC's success, due largely to the Commission's leadership and the great work of my staff, creates enduring partnerships, whether it's with Caltrans, District 7, with the Port of Hueneme, representative here, with Gold Coast Transit, with all the agencies, all 10 cities in the county that we do continual business with. So we'll be spreading this, far and wide. I'll probably be coming to visit your cities again as I did last year too. So just fair warning there if you see me on the public comment circuit. Our executive director's report, just to highlight a few events. We had a fantastic facilitated ADA training for almost all the operators. And this is just part of our continuous process of improving the ADA experience for our riders and to ensure that our transit systems are operating as effectively and safely as possible. And then Commissioner Crosswhite is here from the Heritage Valley Group representing today, but exciting, one of the first 4 of the 5 new buses are being unveiled in the community. And a nice thing about these is they have a very easy to access low floor ramp that rather than the motorized lift. And we've discussed this before in previous meetings, and I want to thank Commissioner Anderson who helped us in the past with the design and choice of this. But it's just a lot simpler when you can have a ramp to go up. There's a lot less moving parts, a lot less. So excited about that too. And finally, this will be, I'm quite sure, our last meeting in this wonderful Camarillo Public Library. I believe the Camarillo City Council is meeting later this month back in their council chambers. I had an opportunity to tour the chambers last night with Roxana and Steve, and they look really nice. It's really a completely overhauled city council. So I'm excited for the April 4th meeting. Bear with us. It might be the Camarillo staff has been very gracious, and I know Steve Effner, who's our IT manager and guru, has always got us through. No pressure, Steve. It's not. I'm sure we will have a great meeting there, but we will be back there, or hopefully. But again, I do want to thank the City of Camarillo, the staff here, City of Camarillo, and City Manager Greg Ramirez and the council for allowing us to meet in their library for the last year now. So with that, open any questions.
Any questions? All right. Thank you very much for that report. Appreciate it. I'm looking forward to getting back over there too. Oh, this is a very nice place, but nothing about this. This is a great place. All right, moving on to the, anybody have any additions or revisions to make to the agenda?
We have none, sir.
Okay, great. Seeing none, we're gonna move to the consent calendar. So we have, yes. Sure, I'd also like to I'd like to get us a verbal update on 9C. So we get a full 9C and 9D. Just do a vote on the rest of the consent calendar. So we've got A, B, E, and F. Anybody pull any of those items? All right. Then please call for the vote on the rest of the consent calendar. Okay, thank you. So a motion and a second. Call for the vote on the rest of the consent.
You want the roll call?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
We'll take the other two separately.
Okay. Commissioner Anderson? Commissioner Enegren? Commissioner Crosswhite?
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez? Commissioner Lang,
Yes.
Commissioner Parvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Tremblay, Commissioner White, Chair Judge,
Yes.
Vice Chair McQueen Lejeune. Thank you.
C.
Sure. Amanda Fagan will take that.
Awesome. I want to thank Amanda for her presentation at SCAG yesterday. It was very good. Very
Thank you. I appreciated having you there to support me on that. So it was a little bit of an intimidating room. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them, but is there anything in particular you'd like me to focus on for
I
this?
just.
Of course. So we, in regards to the Sespe Creek Overflow Railroad Bridge, we are moving forward with finalizing the design package and the invitation for bids, as well as the template contract. All of the different pieces of that package have been coming together. The invitation for bids and the contract template are actually with council for review. And the final designs and plans and specifications we are expecting to receive from our design team later next week. I think by the 14th is the date they've set. All of those pieces will come together, and then we will be bringing that forward to the commission for approval to release the invitation for bids. We're projecting to bring that next month on April 4th. We have submitted all of our regulatory permit applications and are figuring out how to pay for those. So it's a little trickier than you might think to actually just pay the bill. But otherwise, we're just working through those last little pieces. And we'll be able to hopefully proceed with the solicitation for a contractor. One of the things we're also doing to try to increase the contractor interest in the project is to our construction management team put together a nice little video that shows the current state of the project area. So it shows the completed repairs that were done to stabilize the embankment. And then they're beginning to share that video and basic project information with a number of contractors to try to sort of raise the interest and attention in that project so that when we do release the invitation for bids, we'll have more interest. It will be a relatively short bidding period. We're projecting to bring back an award at the June meeting. So relatively short period of time, and then hopefully be able to start construction in June with the projected completion at least of the in-water work by mid-September and the final project by the end of October. So if all the pieces fall into place, that's where we're tracking. We're also continuing to work with FEMA on the reimbursement process. We've completed the submittal of all of the documentation and funding information for the Category B emergency repairs project. That was all the bank stabilization work. And then we have submitted everything that FEMA has requested on the Category C project as well.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate the update. Any questions?
I just have another question. How does that tie in with the Rails to Trails project? Where are we with that? Maybe just an update.
Well, so the commission with item 9B approved the contract with the master plan update, with the contractor to prepare the master plan update. And so that will be moving forward. That will be completed according to the timeline with the contract by the end of calendar year 2026. So we should have the bridge completed, the railroad bridge reconstruction completed, sort of parallel to with the master plan update.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, 9D.
Thank you, Chair. And this may be a question for Aaron, but I think I'm going to actually ask Gloria and Mike Lee whether thank you for being here today, and I fully agree there. But I was particularly intrigued by the AB2 legislative progress report that the commission considered by AB 289 cleaning bill, which is on state highway work zone speed safety. I think Caltrans has done exceptional in the last several years of reminding motorists to slow down in work zones, and it's doing that messaging in different ways. My standpoint, I guess make fun of you, so private. There is anything more important. Speed safety. This bill is interesting because apparently there's a pilot program in Alabama called speed safety. And this bill appears to be potentially statewide and speaks to potentially utilizing 125 different speed safety systems in construction areas or maintenance areas. Is this a Caltrans? If you're familiar with Darren, somebody speak to it just a little bit. Is it a initiated bill that's been informed of its the genesis of this?
What I can say about this, and I don't know that bill, but we a lot. We work with other members that house the work zone is very important. For our workers, the contractors that are out there, we're slow to thank you so much. We were talking earlier about also the blue wave. Reminding everybody something's out there. Please to hold, give them some space. Please slow down. But we do have the highway bill on Hollywood is one of the locations, as well as several off state highway locations as well during events with speed enforcement. So that's one area that's being explored, but there are many areas. So messaging, we're also trying to use technology. Types of equipment coming out. We have new specification for our contractors to try to, where we can, create some buffer space for them. What we call positive reinforcement, the area of some kind for them to work behind. But there's part of that still. It can be very uncomfortable to actually bring the respect or streets that are out there. But so I will say we are in the conversations. I don't know the particulars, but go ahead and shoot that.
And thanks for giving the additional context. To me personally, safety, building safety, public safety. So I'm looking forward to perhaps getting this bill. Darren?
Well, Commissioner Tremblay, I'll cover for Darren today. She's actually up in Sacramento at the moment. But this bill is, I think, as was noted, is a pilot project. I think it will offer some interesting opportunities, some that we may be able to exercise in portions of Ventura County. One area in particular, I've talked with some of my team about this, could be the 126, where we've had numerous safety issues recently. Also, at our April meeting, Delaney Hunter, our legislative advocate, will be presenting too, and we can certainly go into some more detail about this and other legislation that is coming forward. But I do, and I also thank you for driving not too fast. It's I think speed and reckless driving, as everyone in this room knows, is really causing grave dangers, for our traveling public. And it seems to be something that has accelerated after the pandemic. We haven't really quite figured that out yet. But we will be happy to provide some additional detail on this and other bills.
Okay, motion?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Please call for a vote on those two items.
Chair Judge,
Yes.
Vice Chair McQueen Lejeune,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson, Commissioner Crosswhite,
Yes.
Commissioner Enegren, Commissioner Lopez, Commissioner Lang, Commissioner Parvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Tremblay. Thank you.
Commissioner White?
Oh, Commissioner White.
Thank you. Discussion calendar. This is going to be presented by Andrew Kent, Program Manager of Data Services.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. For the record, my name is Andrew Kent, Program Manager for VCTC, and I have a presentation for you this morning on Motorist Aid Programs 2024 Year-End Report to the Safe Board. So by way of a little background, the California legislature established the Service Authority for Freeway Emergencies to encourage development of a motorist aid system. VCTC serves as the SAFE for Ventura County, and funding is provided by a $1 annual vehicle registration fee on all vehicles registered in the county. Originally, motorist aid was really limited to highway emergency call boxes. But over the years, the legislature has expanded the allowable uses of SAFE funds. And Ventura County now funds Freeway Service Patrol, incident responder grants, in addition to the system of highway emergency boxes. This map shows the SAFE network in Ventura County as defined in legislation, which includes all freeways, highways, and major unincorporated county roads which connect the freeway and highway network. SAFE funds must be used to fund programs which benefit motorists traveling on this network with the goal of improving safety, reducing congestion, and providing aid to motorists in need of assistance. So the presentation today is structured in two parts. First, I'll give a report on Freeway Service Patrol and incident responder grants. And then I'd like to pause to take any questions from the commission before moving on to the call box section. Staff is seeking guidance from the board on the future of the call box program. And the presentation's a little bit more in depth and is intended to lead into that discussion. So Freeway Service Patrol, we've just moved into our fifth and final year of the tow contractor services contract that we have with Platinum Tow and Transport. And staff will begin preparing a new procurement for tow contractor services probably in this upcoming month. FSP consists of a fleet of continuously roving tow trucks on congested highway segments during peak traffic periods to provide rapid response to disabled vehicles, debris, and collisions. The program's goals are to reduce congestion and secondary accidents, and all services are provided to motorists at no charge at the point of service. I always like to put up the congestion, the causes of congestion pie chart when I talk about FSP, just to give a little bit of context. Ventura County motorists lose 4.3 million hours to congestion annually. And 16% of that congestion on our local highways is non-recurrent incident related, stemming from breakdowns, collision, debris, and other unanticipated events, which represent the kinds of causes of delay that FSP targets and highlights the importance of rapid response. This slide shows our service map effective July 1st, 2024. We did make some service changes last year. Beat 101-2 used to just serve the Camarillo portion of US 101, and we have now extended that to also cover the Oxnard portion of US 101. We've also extended on-call services onto State Route 23 and the Ventura portion of US 101. For on-call beats, the Highway Patrol may request service, FSP service during regular shift hours. And so they can pull a truck onto those segments of the freeway system if needed. Service hours were also realigned to align better with shifting travel patterns. We pushed the AM shift used to be 6 to 9, and now it's 6:30 to 9:30 a.m. And we moved the PM shift an hour earlier, and now it operates from 2 to 6 p.m. This is a hotspot map of assist data from 2024. You can see the Oxnard portion of US 101 has become a significant activity area now that we've extended onto that portion of the 101. In 2024, FSP responded to 6,520 motorists on US 101 and the 118, and averaged a 3.6 FSP responses for every service hour. Of motorists approached, 3,365 were provided some form of direct assistance to either restart their vehicle or towed off of the highway to a drop location. And Caltrans has calculated that we have maintained our 3-to-1 benefit to cost ratio for the county. Assist rates on 101 have remained pretty consistent over the years. On the 118 is our most active service area and has become increasingly busy over the years. We're not exactly sure why this is, but for some reason it seems that cars like to break down on the Simi Valley portion of 118. The most common service provided by FSP in 2024 was fixing flat tires. Of motorist assisted, FSP drivers were able to restart vehicles in 78% of cases, and about 22% of folks were towed off the highway to a drop location. Drivers also cleared debris from highway lanes on 250 occasions and responded to about 200 requests for assistance from the Highway Patrol. Our busiest time of day is the PM shift between 3 and 4. And our goal is to deploy services to have a maximum impact on congestion. And this graph shows our assists by time of day and freeway delays by time of day. We're very happy with our new modified shift hours. They're lining up very very nicely with our peak times. We do continue to monitor delays and review this every year to optimize the shift scheduling. Due to the program's model of continuous patrolling, trucks were able to reach motorists in under 5 minutes in 55% of cases and under 10 minutes in 77% of cases. For context, the industry cites a 21-minute average response time for AAA roadside assistance, although in Ventura County, from what we've heard, it's closer to 40 minutes, sometimes as long as an hour. So the program is doing a lot to significantly cut down on the time vehicles are exposed to highway traffic. The program also continues to receive excellent written feedback from the public, from our customer surveys. Motorists regularly do comment on Platinum Tow, our Platinum Tow and Transport contract drivers, their friendliness, their calming and professional demeanor. The most common suggestion that we do get about what we can do better is improving program awareness. And we have been working with our public information officer to try to push out more information on social media and in other forums about the program, as well as let people know how to identify an FSP truck and let the public know that FSP never charges for services. Also, for everyone's awareness, only FSP is allowed to approach motorists on the highway unsolicited. So I'll talk quickly about the Incident Responder Grant Program. The board established the Incident Responder Grant Program in 2019. The program provides grant assistance to local first responders for equipment related to responding to motorist incidents on the SAFE network. And we open up this grant. We do calls whenever the safe fund balance allows, usually on every other year. This is a table just summarizing the round 3 awards approved by the board. The funds are they were paid out on July 1st, and they're currently being spent down. Fort Hueneme has actually just finished purchasing their last piece of equipment, and everyone else is still currently going through the process of spending down their funds. We're very excited about for Camarillo and Oxnard implementing the signal preemption, expanding the signal preemption system. The board has awarded approximately $2.7 million over the 3 rounds of the program. Unfortunately, some round 2 funds from the Highway Patrol had to be returned due to complications with the state's accounting procedures. And round 2 funds awarded to Santa Paula have been given an extra extension by the executive director, and we're allowing Santa Paula to combine those funds with round 3 so they can complete the purchase of a incident response vehicle that they have planned. Round 4, we are planning for 2026. So before moving on to call boxes, I'm happy to take any questions from the board on those programs. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank our tow contractor, Platinum Tow and Transport, for another great year of service, as well as thank our partners at the Highway Patrol and at our partners at Caltrans, who give us 75% of the money to run this. Happy to take any questions.
All right, any questions?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to briefly follow up on, I think, Drew's great presentation. Thank our partners with the Highway Patrol who just actually joined us in the meeting. Thank you for your help in making this program so successful. I think many of you may recall when we gave this update last year, our district attorney, Eric Nasarenko, actually came and spoke about his experience as a recipient of this program, how he was able to make a meeting he thought he was not going to be able to make because they quickly were able to change his tire. But in the discussions about safety before, I think this program is really part of that safety improvement on our roadway systems, just on the day-to-day driving, but also the funding that we make available for the incident responder grants augments and I think really makes that safety even more important when you look at what it's going to be doing in the cities of Oxnard and especially Camarillo with the Opticom system and these systems. There's, as you saw in the list from Drew, there's so many really important projects have been funded by this incident responder grant program. So I just wanted to acknowledge Amanda and Drew, CHP, and of course Caltrans for the success of this program.
Thank you. Any others? Okay, let's
All
talk
right.
about call boxes.
So that was the good news. Now moving on to the other news, call boxes. So the call box system in Ventura County is comprised of 428 emergency roadside call boxes with a direct link to the Highway Patrol. In 2017, the board approved a reduction plan, and we removed 142 boxes in low volume, high knockdown areas. The system was upgraded to 4G in 2022, cost about $375,000 to $400,000 a year to operate. And with the proliferation of cell phones, safe agencies have really for many years now have been reevaluating the cost benefit of operating call box systems. And due to some recent developments that I'll get into, the cost side has become a little bit more weightier recently. This is a map of the 428 box locations throughout the county. The system covers all freeways and major highways throughout the county, and they're spaced typically a half a mile to a mile, depending on a few different variables, population density, volumes, that sort of thing. So in terms of usage, call volumes year over year have steadily declined, largely in line with the historic market penetration of cell phones and as cellular coverage has improved. Since 2005, call volumes have dropped at about an average of 9% per year and 85% overall. Over the past 4 or 5 years, it did seem to us as though volumes had fallen sort of to a stable lower limit. But then last year, we experienced another significant decline of about 30% between 2023 and 2024. Call usage of the system, it does vary across the system, and some areas do experience relatively high call box demand. SR1 and 150 are noteworthy for having above average call volumes. And these are factors which would be considered if the board did decide to do another round of call box reductions. If we were going to do a reduction round, typically we would target locations that were lower on the list and in urban areas for removals. In terms of call types, unfortunately, the Highway Patrol dispatch in Ventura County doesn't keep detailed records. However, we have been able to review data from a few of our partner safe agencies to get an idea of call content. And from the information we have available, our best estimate is that about 20% of calls are doing some good in the world. That 20% being things like auto assistance and calls about roadway hazards, medical calls. The remaining 80% is really kind of a hodgepodge of disconnects, phantom calls, maintenance tests, the occasional crank call. And 20% is also probably a little bit of a generous estimate, given the fact that some of the safes that have studied this have found that there is a good portion of call box users who will actually get out of their cars to use a call box even when they have a cell phone on them, out of a belief that call boxes are somehow prioritized or they'll get service quicker. So in addition to the metrics, the falling call box usage, safes statewide are facing a few newer challenges. In June of 2020, VCTC approved a 3-year maintenance contract with a 2-year extension with Case Emergency Systems. In 2023, Case Systems, which was our longtime provider of call box maintenance services, they were acquired by a tech company called Nightscope. And with that acquisition, Nightscope purchased all of the call box maintenance contracts statewide, as well as the patents for the proprietary call box technology. In 2023, we did choose to extend the contract for call box maintenance services through June of this year. And under that contract, the maintenance contractor is compensated a monthly flat fee per active box to provide preventative maintenance and corrective maintenance services. Preventative maintenance includes 2 annual maintenance visits to every call box, an inspection and servicing of the hardware by a maintenance technician. And corrective maintenance is when an alert would be triggered, or we had a knockdown, or a daily test call fails, or something to that effect. In December 2023, Nightscope management unilaterally cut off the semi-annual preventative maintenance inspections. In March 2024, we also found out that they had eliminated the county's dedicated technician position. Staff did meet with Nightscope management to confront them about the lack of preventative maintenance. And the position that was relayed to us by Nightscope management was essentially that they were losing money on the contracts that they had acquired, and that we either needed to accept the reductions, let them basically do reduce services and increase rates, or they would walk away from the call box sector and shutter the division. They did at the time claim that they were working on developing and deploying some kind of a smart system, which they said that would reduce the need for preventative maintenance. We have not seen any plans or have had any updates on that system. Staff has also noticed a marked decline in call box appearance with accumulation of dirt on solar panels, graffiti, missing signage, broken doors and casings in some areas, in the absence of preventative inspections. Also, in 2024, reviewing the data at the end of the year, about 5% of the system has consistently experienced degraded operations. An additional concern is the aging of the technology. The call box hardware, it largely relies on original obsolete components, and the safes have expressed concern that Knightscope may not be able to source parts to maintain the call boxes into the long run. Some of the larger safes have resorted to doing system reductions and then storing call boxes to use for harvesting parts as a supply of parts. And again, Knightscope has not presented the safes with any plans to upgrade the technology. Staff did reach out to our call box analytics consultant, T-Cubed, and we asked for them to look into possible alternatives either to Knightscope or to the existing technology. And their memo back to staff was essentially that there are no other boxes in California which meet all of the requirements of the CHP and Caltrans, and they could not identify any new technologies in the literature which could be readily or easily deployed to replace the technology that we have out on the freeway highway system. Safe agencies statewide have reported similar frustrations since the transition to Knightscope. Lack of a communication with staff, contract compliance issues, termination of local call box technicians, no preventative maintenance, and diminished response times for corrective maintenance. This slide gives a little bit of the context of how safes have been responding. Capital Valley, they received a 400% cost increase letter recently from Knightscope. Santa Barbara has largely reduced their program, and now they just maintain a handful of boxes in key areas, rural locations with poor coverage. San Bernardino very recently decided to terminate their contract with Knightscope for cause and issued an RFP to remove the boxes and sunset the program. San Diego is moving in a little bit of a different direction. They created their own in-house maintenance position, and they are attempting to identify an alternative partner to work with outside of California. In our judgment, that is not something that they would be likely to that would be feasible within the next 2 to 3 years for a variety of reasons. It would take a significant amount of time to work with to find a different partner, design a new call box system, and then go through certification by Caltrans and deploy. And I should also note that Caltrans' SAFE liaison at our last 2024 statewide Motorist Aid Committee did express the opinion that the cost of call boxes have now exceeded benefits to motorists. I should say that's not an official Caltrans position, but is a statement, the professional opinion of probably the leading expert in the state on motorist aid. So anyways, as staff sees it, there's essentially 3 paths forward. The first option is maintaining existing service levels in the face of challenges mentioned. To maintain existing service levels, we would need to contract for call box maintenance services before June 30th, 2025. Due to a lack of a competitive market with Nightscope's effective monopoly in the sector in California, we would likely have to accept no preventative maintenance as well as possibly a significant rate increase to maintain the system. The second option would be a system reduction, a incremental phase out. If pursued, we would task our T-cubed callbox analytics consultant with preparing a system reduction recommendation report for board approval. We would still need to move forward with procurement for maintenance services to maintain the remaining system. The downside to this option is really that the cost savings from a reduction would be very uncertain. It would not be one-to-one, a one-to-one savings, since the maintenance provider, Nightscope, would very likely offset losses in revenue with a higher contract unit rate. The third option is to sunset the program. For this option, staff would prepare and submit a system removal plan to Caltrans, providing justification to sunset the program. This option would allow the $375,000 a year in annual maintenance budget for the call box program to be reallocated to an alternative motorist aid programs. Optionally, we could also implement a 511 mobile call box signage. I think we might have a few of these in Ventura County, but other programs that have removed their call boxes, they've placed these signs a little bit more ubiquitously to let motorists know that they can call 511 for traveler information and also to reach the highway patrol. I think it's also important to note that if other safes do successfully at some point develop and certify an alternative technology, VCTC can always revisit deployment of a new technology down the line if we wanted to use a new technology that another safe developed and implemented in a specific location. We can always revisit it. Cost savings could be used, as I mentioned, for other motorist aid programs, in addition to providing additional freeway service patrols or additional incident responder grants. Motorist aid funds have been used by safe agencies to fund things like extra CHP patrols and officer positions. Innovation grants such as first last mile microtransit pilot programs, as well as things like intelligent transportation systems and transportation demand management systems, which would include technology such as integrating and optimizing the highway ramp meters, which was discussed at the last commission meeting. So staff is seeking guidance from the board on this issue. As mentioned, there's essentially three options as we see it. And before making a staff recommendation, we just wanted to open this up for discussion to take the temperature of the board and see if there is a strong preference that emerges. Staff plans to return at a future commission meeting with an item for final approval. So I will now turn it over to the board for comments, and I'm happy to take any questions. I know there's a lot of information. Happy to revisit any of the slides to provide any clarification.
Thank you very much for that presentation. We have a couple of questions from the board, I'm sure. Go with Tony first.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Actually, I don't have any questions. Okay.
Go ahead, make comments. Comments or questions?
Thanks. Sitting here listening, requires required case emergencies. Says, gee, services, depending on correctly, since December, period of 14 months.
That's correct.
So we've not received. Very clear breach of their agreement. I guess my view is that unless there is specific public safety concerns articulated by our state officer, very specific view that there is. Unless that indicates otherwise, I would say the terminate the contract immediately. No agreements whatsoever until follow the San Bernardino County. And as part of that, we redeploy the existing site funds, bill, and then staff to bring back to us at our next meeting. How do you suggest we? Those would be, sorry to be so bill.
That would be my recommendation also. Any other comments or questions from the board? Go ahead. Commissioner Parvin.
I just wanted to ask if the Highway Patrol wanted to share their thoughts, since they're here, on what we're discussing. I'm sorry, I'm going to make you walk all the way over there. Or you can come right over here. I'll hand you the mic.
Just make sure the green button is.
It's on. My thoughts on it would be, and I know I've spoken to Andrew earlier about it. We were kind of tossing around ideas. My thought is areas where you have poor cell reception, that would be probably the main areas I would say to keep it. The areas I think of is like the State Route 23 going through the canyon. I know from experience, only Verizon works in that canyon. They have cell towers, but only Verizon works. So anybody that doesn't have Verizon, you have no cell reception in there. There are call boxes already there. I would say try to stick with areas where you actually have very poor cell reception, where people don't get it if you're going to keep them. Areas like the 118, that's actually the freeway portion, the 101, the 23, where it's freeway portion. Everybody has cell phones. A lot of times these places, if worst case scenario, they can walk off the freeway, not the best option. But at most everybody has a cell phone nowadays, and they can get some kind of help that route. I think it's the areas where there is no cell reception is probably where you'd have your bigger issues.
Good.
Thank you, Chair. Identifying those locations that are important to need some.
Any others? Jenny?
That was along the lines of what I was concerned about too, is if you're in an area, because I know that there's areas in the canyon is one of them where you can't get cell service depending on who your provider is. And so that was something that I was concerned about. If there, in kind of looking, are there other areas in our service territory? I mean, obviously, but what the position we're in with the contractor is very unfortunate. Also not wanting to put folks in a position where they're stuck out in the middle of nowhere all night and nobody comes by and they can't call for help. So trying to kind of balance those things. I had one other thought and I'm just, I will think about what it was. And I think there was a comment on the other side of you.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I agree with what's been talked about. I do have a concern about like Wheeler Canyon. When I ride my bike up there, I can't talk to anybody, which is sometimes good, and I can't receive any calls. However, I guess I also look at the cost. If we keep eight of them out there in these dead zones, so to speak, what's that going to cost? And is that saving us any money in the long run? How much from that 385 is that going to cost? Is that going to lower it? So, I don't want to keep anybody out in the dark or, without being able to get a phone. But I also am concerned about those zones that have no phone. Thank you.
Chris first.
to approve and start giving coverage to uncovered areas. So I think if we were to look into keeping some of them only because of cell service, I would want to really look into the future of cell service in those areas, making sure there isn't to address it. Because ideally, if there were cell services everywhere, I would say that's probably. Thanks, Mr. Chair. I think one of the options, kind of like Andrew, can you put up the very last slide for the. This guy? Yeah, there we go. So safe agencies have used with their state revenues to improve extra CH officers, et cetera. I guess what I would ask is, the staff considers what the alternative might be for those areas that are suffer impact. So for example, I'd like to know from CP, does it make any sense to increase polls in those specific discrete areas? Is that something that actually could be accomplished? The current folks that you have, is that something that we so that would be asked one alternative. I don't know whether it's feasible or not. So it will be that if we move forward, and staff and discuss that, see it.
Mr. Chair, I think we have enough feedback to go forward and bring an item back to the commission that captures what was discussed today and the overall intent, I think, of Commissioner Tremblay's motion. Also, if I could just remind everyone when you're speaking to make sure your microphone is on so it gets caught in the YouTube feed.
My quick question is this: you showed us that if we were to scale down to just the areas that need something other than Verizon or something as your cell carrier, is that because it looked like it was an all or nothing type of program with these guys? We're not really getting out of it because they're still not going to maintain it and do everything that we need done. So eventually, this is going to fail on its own. Okay,
that would be staff's assessment also.
Okay, that's fine. I think that we should go ahead.
Just one more add on to that is that the focus, and we want to focus on public safety. So there will be people that are left behind. I don't want to see them walking down mountains like what happened last weekend. I think that should be the top priority when we figure out which direction we're going to go.
Okay. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Do we know now, are we at a place yet with cell phone technology where if someone didn't know where they were, that they can actually tell when you call in where you are? Are we still not there yet?
I don't want to pretend to be an expert on this. I mean, I think depending on what phone you have, and the most modern phones do have emergency SOS locations, but I don't think that is something every phone has at this point. But we can certainly research that also.
I mean, luckily we aren't as geographically far apart as, other parts of the country. But I remember one time waiting for an hour and a half in the middle of nowhere, Texas, while they drove around trying to find the broken down vehicle I was in, while two systems, capable of producing tornadoes were going on either side of me. So I was just curious if that technology, because we just knew what highway we were on. So they were driving around trying to figure out where we were. So I just didn't know if that's something that's gotten any better, or, since we're geographically more condensed, it's less of a concern, but I just didn't know if that had improved at all.
Mr. Chair.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I guess maybe we could request, and this may already be in your notes, to look at our area and how many call boxes would be in those areas that we don't currently have cell phone coverage, and then look at what that equals to, and then perhaps get an estimate on if we were to try to come up with a way to continue those call boxes and not work with this contractor, but figure out another way to pay to maintain those, what that would look like.
some sites. I think that may have been done for the original follow-up.
Go ahead.
Yes, I have just a couple of things. First of all, I think it would be helpful to know exactly how many calls we're getting from those places in the dead zones to assess what the needs actually are. And then also, one other thing is that satellite technology is being utilized in so many parts of the world right now that I know with my phone, it clicks into satellite when there's no cell reception. And so to Commissioner Enegren's point, I think it would be helpful. I think that there will be over the next over this year, next year, and moving forward, a lot of advancements in satellite technology too. So I think it would be helpful to know what, or it would be, I think, helpful to keep that into our minds as well.
I just wanted to mention that there are satellite call boxes that are deployed. But as mentioned, Nightscope does own the patents on the call box technology. So that would fall under the category of a new technology that would have to be developed by another manufacturer, and then we would have to take it to Caltrans to be certified, which would include crash test studies and things of that nature. So it would still be, the technology is there, certainly, but it would still be a long-run solution to try to implement satellite call boxes.
I think staff has enough information to bring this.
Chair Judge, I believe Caltrans has a comment.
Yeah, so thank you very much for the presentation and detailed information. So I think this also speaks to a larger item for the Caltrans program level in cooperation with CHP is to looking at our guidelines, because what I'm hearing is very proprietary, right? Because there's no other technology that meets our own requirements. So maybe it's time for us to look at things so that local agencies don't get kind of trapped in terms of not having an alternative. Because I have the same concerns where there are cell pockets where I don't want people to be without and be needing assistance, and they have no way of getting in hold of anyone, especially middle of the night. A lot of times there's also nighttime incidents. So this is something that I'm going to take back to our headquarters program just to look at, hey, we need to identify an alternative to this. So we'll be working in conjunction. And so thank you for also sharing that this is not only happening for Ventura County, but other counties. So this is actually a statewide issue that we need to address.
Chair, I believe we have enough information. Thank you for everybody's feedback on this. Clearly, this is not something we're facing alone. This is a statewide challenge, and we look forward to coming back to the commission with more information and a more detailed recommendation moving forward.
Great. Okay, then we'll move along. Very disconcerting. All right, move on to our general counsel report.
Nothing to report today, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And we'll go to agency reports. So I'll do the report for the Southern California Association of Governments. We had our meeting yesterday, and during Transportation Committee meeting, we did discuss a couple of things. Basically, the STBG, which is the Surface Transportation Block Grant Program, and our Congestion Mitigation Air Quality Improvement Program, the CMAQ. We did push both of those forward to the regional committee or the regional council, and the regional council did vote in the positive on both of those. So the funding for that has been set, and the guidelines for any projects will be coming for project nominations will be coming forward soon. That was the big thing we did during Transportation Committee, there are concerns at SCAG, just like there are concerns with every other NGO and around the country of funding. SCAG's pretty confident, though, that our funding will continue as it's been without too much of a hiccup in it. So they're not looking to change any projects right now. They were very proud to mention the fact that they did have a project in Calexico that opened up on the REAP 2.0 funds for the first time. And so they were very happy to tout that, and it was, seemed like it was a great plan and a great opportunity for that area. Because they had also recommended to remember that even though Calexico is a small city in California, right across the border, you have over 1 million people in Mexico that live there. So it's a very important crossing for those folks that come here to work every day. And that was about it for the SCAG report for me, unless Jenny has anything. Yours? Thank you.
The only thing that I would add is that on behalf of the Energy and the Environment Committee, I did attend a 2-day climate resilience conference. It was supposed to be in person. It ended up being on Zoom. So I spent 2 days on Zoom. But there was, yeah, I mean, full days. It didn't get remodified in terms of schedule for the fact that it was 2 full days on Zoom. So it was like 8:30 in the morning until 6 o'clock at night for 2 days. But
you are dedicated.
Some great information, and like the earlier how Caltrans was talking about their new plan that's come out. The importance of looking at our resilience as we're doing our capital improvement projects too, and the importance of we're all being impacted by extreme weather. So what are the things that we can do to mitigate the risk? How do we prepare better? Whether it's flooding or fires or hotter temperatures, how can we be better prepared as government entities, and how can we help our residents to be better prepared? Because a dollar spent on prevention and mitigation is goes farther than the money that you're spending to react after something has gone wrong. And so we spend a lot of time talking about what are we going to do when things go wrong, and not always as much time on what are the things, what's the dollar. I think the number that was used was like $1 of prevention is worth $6 to $10 in, responding after the fact. So, what can we do now? And the idea that we can't really afford not to do anything, even though it's hard sometimes to think about we're going to spend money on mitigation measures when we haven't even had a disaster yet. But in the long run, you save a lot of money. You can't mitigate away every risk, but what are the risks that we can mitigate and that we really need to make sure, especially in light of the Eaton and Palisades fires, that we're having that conversation and that we're all at the table. So that would be the one takeaway I would share from that.
Thank you. I also wanted to mention, I forgot to, that Amanda came out and gave a very good presentation on behalf of VCTC and our emergency programs that we have put in place through this chamber. And it was a very impressive report, and all my colleagues on the Transportation Committee were impressed by it. Some of them were asking me, how do we copy it? I gave Martin's number. To Southern California Regional Rail Authority. Losan? Commissioner White?
Thank you, Chair. We met in Orange County on February 18th. I traveled with our Executive Director, Martin Erickson, and he drove very well. Didn't hit anybody. I mean, it was great. And I met with Jason Jewell for a while just to get an intro on all the agendas, which is kind of nice, sitting on it with the Surfliner and the Metrolink. There's going to be some track work done this weekend, March 8th and March 9th. It'll be closed, so we won't be able to go anybody up there using the rail. And just for some of the new people, what LOSAN is the Losan Rail Corridor Agency. It's the second busiest intercity passenger rail corridor in the United States. And we have 26 daily trains. Annual ridership is around 3 million people. Anything else, Commissioner Enegren? Okay. Thank you.
Did you cover the Coastal Rail Council also?
That's over here. Let's see. Okay. Coastal Railway is over here. New meeting. I met in Santa Barbara on the 21st. Thanks to Claire Grasky for the comprehensive status of the council, getting to know a little bit about that. I was elected vice chair. There was only 5 of us on the commission, so I was the lone man out. Next meeting is going to be in San Jose, May 16th. Ventura has issued a double track project that we're looking at doing in 2018 for the 2028 Olympics. We received an update on SB 125. Anything else, Commissioner Grell? Oh, no, he's not here. Never mind. There was some discussion about the California high-speed rail, which is sort of an ongoing thing. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. California Association of Governments, Vinny?
So the CalCog board had some lots of reports and robust discussion. Obviously, like everyone else, they were talking about the uncertainty of all of the changes with the federal budget. There was a time when they thought their budget was going to be in peril, but now they're thinking maybe not. So they said that they would keep everyone updated and call an emergency meeting if something significant changed. But I was attending virtually, and in the spirit of saving money, just in case, they used very low tech. It was probably the lowest tech Zoom meeting I've ever been on. And they were passing around one singular microphone for whoever was speaking, which apparently I found out after the fact, it wasn't just those of us online who couldn't hear. If it was garbled to us, it was garbled to everyone in the room who was there to attend the meeting as well. So that was exciting. But they were having lots of conversations, one of the pieces around the budget, and I think it is relevant anytime you're talking with legislators, is the need to really tell your story, not just say, this is the funding we want, but like, what is the impact to your region, to your city, to your county, with any given funding source. Like, if you care about a funding source, you need to be able to tell the story. And so that was one piece. And then there was conversation about the cap and trade reauthorization. I know that there's a spot bill that Jackie Irwin has right now to sort of hold space for that conversation. I've sat in enough boards over the last 2 weeks to know that, there's going to be, everyone has different ideas of what that should look like. And what it should be spent on. And so that's going to be an interesting conversation as that all comes about. But that is starting to be talked about. And then along with that, there's two things related to REAP, which came up earlier. One is advocating for the extension of the timeline since there was such a long pause. There's a concern that we won't have enough time to have everyone implement the projects that have already been approved and get fully reimbursed for those. So they're asking for an 18-month extension on that funding source to implement the programs that are in the sustainable community strategy. And then the second piece is really across different boards. I've been in the conversation for the need for that to be an ongoing sustainable funding source of some kind, and different people have different ideas of where that maybe could come from, but there's consensus around in different places that we need some kind of funding for implementation. We're required to plan for these projects, but we need to have a way to implement them. And then in terms of there was something about implementation I was going to say, but anyway, then there's been also a lot of conversation around vehicle miles traveled and the bill that created vehicle miles traveled, and the, how there's a one size fits all formula for the whole state. And if you're in a rural area, that impacts you differently than if you're in an urban area. And so there's also the fact that when, those regulations first came out, you didn't have that many people who were, driving zero emissions vehicles. And if more people are going to drive them, there's no reconciliation between that and the GHG goals that it was linked to originally. So there's lots of conversations happening around some need to look at some of those regulations and how they're implemented, and do some modernizing with them, and the various impacts that has on the transportation planning and the sustainable community strategy and all of that, all of the things. So it's very complicated. And at the end of that conversation, they said, okay, we need to step back and make sure we all have the same baseline understanding of what we're talking about, because different people are at different levels of understanding of all of the different parts and how they work together, and how, one law regulation and another one don't necessarily talk to each other. So then you may end up with something that's not approved, and then you can't get your SB1 funding. And so anyway, there's just all kinds of complicated things and how they work together. But conversations really happening around the fact that there's some updating and changes that need to be made on how all of this is implemented. Oh, and the other thing I was going to say about the sustainable community strategy is right now you have to do it once every 4 years. And there's talk about it really should be once every 8 years, so that one, it's aligning with your housing planning, and two, millions and millions and millions of dollars are spent on these plans, and then you barely have any time to try to implement them before you're turning around and planning for the next one. So really looking at like the savings of doing it once every 8 years, and then really having a more focused effort then on how do we put funding towards implementing them in the interim. So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. California Van Pool Authority, Commissioner White.
Thank you, Chair. California Van Pool Authority, our next meeting is March 13th. I do serve on their executive committee, so we meet once a month to talk about our budgets. And lately, just some information for the new people here. We've traveled over 90,000 miles a week now with our vehicles. Usually it's around 250, but because this is a slow period right now, we're really not traveling as much as we usually do. And part of it is the situation down in Mexico. We're not letting people through Mexico, so we have over 100 vehicles sitting idle for those people that are across the border because of stuff going on. We operate about 550 vehicles throughout California during the peak season. We're very much more into internal combustion, gas vehicles than electric vehicles because of the cost. We will travel to Sacramento May 7th to meet with some people up there. Primarily, we provide, agricultural worker transportation. Although we're about 30% out going into the community, most of it's into agricultural worker transportation. Anything like to share, Commissioner Broggie? You're the alternate. Do you have anything to share?
I believe the alternate's Carrie Broggie.
Oh,
she's not
okay,
here
I'm
today.
sorry.
Yeah.
My fault. And then briefly, just a personal note, I'm going to be traveling throughout the county tomorrow on a Century bike ride, which is 100 miles, going to cities such as Ojai, Santa Paula, Fillmore, and Camarillo. So if you see me out there riding, don't hit me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to adjourn our meeting now and look forward to seeing you all back on Friday, April 4th, 2025 at Camarillo City Hall and their City Council chambers. Thank you all for coming today, and thank you for your reports and your attention.